Good afternoon or good evening. Well, it's evening for sure. Uh, Welcome to the completely off schedule live stream. And yeah, I've been on the road. Well, technically on the road. I've been on aircraft most of the day. And I picked up, and this is my travel tip for you guys. Whenever I stop somewhere, I always pick up a pack of water. It's just something smart to do when you are on in a hotel. Hey, Water Tiger, what's going on? Hey, Loretta. Um, it's always a good idea to have a case of water in your hotel room, and there are a couple of reasons I do that. One, sometimes the hotels I get put in are kind of in shady places, and I just don't feel like, hey, Cold War, what's going on? Welcome. I just don't feel like battling that. Now, hey, Smoking Swamp. Um, but also, one, it keeps you, well, it's a good idea to have water around anyway. Um, it's way cheaper than buying the water at the hotel concessions, right? Because the hotel will charge you like $2 for this, and you could get a pack of 12 for $3. So I mean, it's cents on the dollar. So it's a smart thing to do. Um, Hello, hello. We got some folks. Water Tigers first. Hey, Loretta, Mr. Cold War. Thank you, thank you. Smoking Swamp. I just saw Cold War at NY Preppers live stream, which was very interesting and somewhat concerning. Hey, Southern Survival, long time. Formerly changed my name. So you moved to Georgia. Good deal. Yeah, I know you had mentioned that it just wasn't. You know what they've done? It's interesting that Southern Survival used to be heroic. He was on the Jersey Shore, if I believe, or in Jersey, and people like us are moving to certain places, and people not who are not thinking that way are going to other places, and they actually talked about that on Tucker Carlson, I believe. He was saying that red states have gotten redder and blue states have gotten bluer, and it's going to extremes. So it's interesting. Uh, hey, Holly, welcome. Hey, Winning Streak. Upsetting how many people misunderstand things. Yeah, and it's hard to. And I had to jump out of NY Preppers Live, so I don't know if there's something else going on. But yeah, there's more folks. Or hey, Devil Dog, what's going on? Folks are moving around a lot. KP. I saw that flashlight video, by the way. That was pretty cool. Y'all check out KP Heathen's channel if you get a chance. He had a couple of little product reviews I thought were pretty cool. My life is a rodeo right now, just hanging on. My thighs are we. Hey, Red October, what's going on? So, yeah, one of the things I always do when I walk into a new hotel room, aside from walk the hotel room, is I actually will pick up a case of water at the local store. It's cheaper than the hotel. It's cheaper than a restaurant, and I always have snacks, uh, including breakfast. I actually brought my new the one I showed on the video the other day, my little blender, so I could do breakfast stuff. But yeah, I have a fridge and no microwave in this hotel, which is really weird. So who the hell has a hotel with no microwave? But lo and behold, I don't have one. But I have a safe. But I can't fly with my gun anyway. So hey, random, what's going on? Uh, but yeah, I will tell you the airports were super busy. Um, there's a lot of backlog everywhere I went, and it was kind of weird witnessing that. Usually things run pretty smooth. My flights were smooth, but a lot of people flying around, and it's funny overhearing the conversations that go on in the hotels or in the airports, and a lot of folks are kind of starting to wake up. Like this general conversations I'm hearing are people going, "Hey, GMA Nostra, hey Sherbear, hold on, where'd Nostra sneak in? Hey Nostra, what's going on? Hello, hello. Uh, Hey, Ghost. Man, I tell you what, I was in an airport up until like a few hours ago. So they gave me another EV on my stop here. And but this time I'm going to be in a city. So I'm like, fine, I'll try the EV. My first impression, it's a Hyundai Ionic, Ion Q, whatever the hell it's called. The so it has regenerative braking. So as it's moving, when you apply the brakes or you take your foot off the gas, so to say, um, it uses inertia to recharge the battery a little bit using the brakes. The takeoff is good, but driving a EV is a very weird experience because when you take your foot off the gas or off the power, if you will, like your truck or your car, if you hit the gas and you take your foot off the gas, but you don't hit the brake, you kind of roll forward. And this thing, you take your foot off the gas and it slows down way more than I was expecting. And it almost got me rear ended. So I wasn't a fan of that. Um, the controls are very busy. Um, and so it's kind of hard. You're focusing on the road, but there's all sorts of shit going on in front of you. It's like watching an Xbox while you're driving, and it's just really bizarre. Um, The range for 100% charge is 250 miles, which is fine, but my concern is part of the reason I rent a car is because I don't wanna Uber everywhere, that's a pain in the ass. "Hey, Hudson, what's going on?" And, I only drive an EV when I play golf. Okay, so when you drive a golf cart and you take your foot off the gas pedal, it doesn't stop, but it really slows down abruptly. That's what the EV feels like. Um Mike is here. What's going on, buddy? Um, it's a it's a weird feel. Now, torque and taking off when I had to hit the power to get on the highway, holy crap, especially in sports mode, it's almost dizzying the speed, the acceleration of an electric motor. So since I'm in the city this time, I know I'm in proximity to chargers. Now, but there are a couple of reasons I rent a vehicle when I'm on a business trip. One, obviously, is because it's easier to keep on a schedule when I'm driving myself, right? I don't have to wait for a cab or an Uber. I just go. Um, Two, safety factor, right? You don't know. I mean, with all the fake IDs and illegal folks running around, you don't know if your Uber is really an Uber, or you get fake Ubers because people aren't paying attention. So you got to be careful about that. But three, in my mind, in an emergency, let's say I rent, I don't know, a freaking Toyota Camry, right? And I just a normal one, like a gas car. If something happens where they ground the aircraft in America, like 9/11, I'm going to fill that car. I'm going to call Avis and I'm going to be like, I'm dropping your car off in my house in my hometown and I'm going to drive that damn thing. And they're going to charge me for it. And that's fine. But I'm driving it back home if I can't fly. And having this EV, I'm kinda like, well, if they shut down the airports, that's great, I could drive home with it, but my drive home is a 9-hour drive. Regardless of which direction I take, it's roughly 8 to 9 hours. I'm gonna have to stop several times, and I don't have any understanding of how long it takes to charge that EV. If you live in a city, I could see where the appeal is. It's a hatchback, I got, like, a little SUV is what they gave me. Uh, the layout is cool. You got much more room inside, right? Because you don't have, the shaft or anything running through the middle of the vehicle. So it's really spacious inside. But I was so happy to have my rental car. Okay, well, for instance, I'll be traveling through Houston. It's been Houston and a few other places. And yeah, being able to drive home is a huge deal. But exactly. So if I don't know the area, I could wind up in a strange or a shady area for all I know, waiting 20 minutes to charge this thing. The hotel does not have chargers. So I'm gonna see if my one of the corporate offices here, I gotta spend like 2 days there anyway, if they have the EV stations, and I'll park it there. Again, I figured I didn't wanna bash them and never have driven and rented one. Like I said, I can see the appeal if you're a commuter and you get a little EV car and you drive to and from. That would cut pollution a bunch in the air around the city, but for practical travel, I don't see it. And again, that might go to the 15-minute cities. They don't want you going anywhere anyway. See, and that's another thing Hudson pointed out. They're peppy. Yeah, they'll move. I mean, they move. It's a good vehicle, but um, that's another factor is you get really cold winters, especially at Buffalo, Syracuse, where you get negatives for weeks. That doesn't happen in Texas, but we're the opposite extreme. You get 3, 4 weeks of 101 and above. What will that do to a battery? And that I don't know. So, oh yeah, and towing is a whole nother issue. So, but I wanted to at least rent it. Now, when I go on trips in general, I always rent a vehicle for the reasons I just mentioned, keeping on schedule, convenience, and the safety factor. And in an emergency, I'll drive home. Now, the last time they gave me that Ford Mustang SUV EV, which I had to go in the middle of the country for like an on location audit. And I'm like, I can't drive this. There is nowhere to charge out there. I'm just going to wind up leaving your car in the woods. And they gave me a Dodge Charger. No, I'm sorry, not the Charger, the Challenger, the two door. And I'm like, that's like a sports car. And they're like, it's the only car we have. We have that, or we have a Nissan Maxima or some little nub. And I'm like, no, I'm good with this thing. God, I was flying down the highway. That freaking 8-cylinder engine. Holy cow, I kept having to slow down. Um, Good Lord, not a single this is true. This is true because they ain't one to steal. Um, no, no worry, Ghost. I'm technically supposed to be working. I got presentations the next couple of days, but I've done them already. Uh, but another lesson learned. So for those of you who will be traveling for the summer, if you're renting an EV, make sure you're in an urban area or you have chargers. If they try to give you one and it's not what you want, go to the desk and say, look, you got to give me a gas powered vehicle. I can't drive this thing on the beach. Um, Plus, they're heavy. So, like, your Tahoe may not sink in the sand, but that damn EV of the same size will definitely sink in the sand. So, oh God, Hudson, my Lord, twice I had to catch myself. I looked down. My safety guide shit on me if he heard this, but man, I was almost in triple digits. And I'd slow down and be like, God bless, because you don't feel it in that kind of car. And I'd slow down and people would go blowing past me because they were following me. And I just kind of cruise over to the right lane. I'm like, all right, I need to chill out. And twice, both times, DPS was waiting on the other side of a hill and they busted other people. So, hey, Hill Summit, Canadian, welcome. So, you know, uh, just one of those travel tips I've learned is make sure you have snacks, make sure you have water. Uh, I like to rent a car whenever I can. Sometimes it's not practical to do it on a very quick business trip if I'm flying in one night, leaving the next. But you gotta be, you gotta kind of plan for those contingencies. I will tell you something I did learn, and I'll make a short on this. Damn it, I can't find it. The doohickey, those keychains that are actually tools, that went through TSA. That did not stop me. They did take one in my pocket All right, so it looks like I'm back. Can you see me? So yeah, they look like they zapped me. And keep in mind, to be fair to YouTube, I'm on a hotel Wi-Fi, so it's kind of like hinky. And it's Sunday night, so as people start meandering, oh, thanks, Devil Dog. I saw your text. As people start meandering into the hotel, you start winding up loading down the blame cow. All right, but so I am here. So, guys, if you're making trips for the spring, for the summer, plan accordingly. And I'm trying to prep contingencies. And I neglected. I said on my last live stream in an airport, I was going to prep a little differently this time. So I don't have the really creepy painting behind me like I did in the other hotel that reminded everyone of the Leave the World Behind painting. So I got in my suitcase. So aside from normal, electronics, I got multiple flashlights, one in here, and then my ever-present Sharpies, of course. But I actually keep an Israeli, or actually that's the hell is this? No, sorry, that's the trauma pad, trauma dressing, and I keep a tourniquet. Those have also gone through TSA. They did not stop me. Actually, they were very interested in where I got it. Inside, of course, I have my snacks. So during Hurricane Harvey, a lot of people got stranded in the airports. During 9/11, same thing happened. So I actually have nutrient survival. I have granola. I have emergency. Hey, take care, Cold War. I appreciate you jumping in. Um, oh, winning streak. I'll tell you what. Uh, and to your point, imagine you're in a hotel, right? It's not somewhere you've been, and you get a blackout in the city or a blackout in an airport. And now you're in a building full of people you don't know, and you can't see where you're all going. Now, the hotel's not as bad because you have windows, but if all the lights go out and there's no moon, it's going to get really dark. And you try and go down the steps of a hotel trying to get to your car, you'll absolutely kill yourself. Um, so this little guy got through TSA this time. They didn't object to it, and it's just like a baby multi-tool. It's called a doohickey. I'll put up links for all this fun later. But snacks. I got a small first. I had a small first aid kit, and oh, there it is. Which I got to redo anyway, and the USB charger because if the power goes out. Oh yeah, no. Winning streak, absolutely. You actually have two in that bag, and then one I keep in my briefcase. So all that stuff made it through. So I had snacks, I had a bottle of water that I had to buy when I got through security, a couple of flashlights, first aid kit with some of the real rudimentary basics in there. But this is the kind of stuff that can at least get you through a pain in the ass situation. Uh, with everything happening the way it is, with my luck, with Murphy's Law, I'm going to be in an airport. And that's when, the 300 saboteurs that have already gone through our southern border decide, oh, we're going to go and destroy some shit. And the roaming sadness over there, I'm going to be in a damn airport somewhere and the lights are going to go out on me, or I'm going to have a stupid EV and I'm renting and it won't get me home. um, I can get about halfway home, so I'll just pick a city and go there, and they'll be like, okay, my wife will have to come get me the other direction. um, so no, they didn't try to take the med. because they're prepackaged and it's like diphenhydramine, which is Benadryl, basically, Tylenol, Advil, like commercially packaged stuff. No. Then if you have prescription bottles, it has to have a label and it has to be prescribed to one of the people traveling. So, like, if I'm with my wife and I happen to have her bottle, it's like, well, it's my wife. So, ta-da. But I can't have like Joe Schmo's oxycodone in my bag, right? Or unlabeled oxy or some other weirdness. That they're gonna start questioning me about. Um, Basic first aid stuff they don't bother with. Also basic toiletries. So a safety razor, toothbrush, toothpaste. When I go overseas, I won't pack my toiletries in my checked luggage. I bring it with my carry-on because I know there's a pretty damn good chance they're going to lose my luggage. So I bring, if I'm going international, change underwear, change a shirt, uh, basically your undies, new shirt, deodorant, toiletries go with me in the plane. That way I know I can at least function for 24, 48 hours before, hopefully by then they'll get my luggage to me. Um, so knives, no, and I brought my knife, but it had to go in my checked luggage. And my checked luggage is locked. I can't bring it on the plane with me. Surprisingly, I can't bring this either because my stupid blender, the little blades in here, have they have technically that's a blade. It pokes the shit out of you, so it is sharp. So they're like, I checked the TSA website, and they're like portable blending and other food items. If they have a blade, you either have to remove the blade or just put it in your checked luggage. In 2016, forgot pocket knife in my backpack to Japan. I was shocked that I made it. They miss stuff. They will miss stuff. I had a buddy who had a loaded magazine, no gun, just a mag that he had done back to back trips that was like fly drive, fly drive, fly drive, and then he got screwed up somewhere and he thought he pulled everything out and he didn't. And he gets to the other side and there's a loaded 9mm magazine in his bag. So what he wound up, how he didn't get busted, God, that would have been so bad for the poor guy. So what he did, he dumped the mag. He gave the nines to one of our coworkers who had a nine. He's like, here, you can have these. And then he threw it in his check luggage on the way home. And then they don't care because there's no bullets. It's just a piece of a gun. But that's what I'm going to try to do. And yeah, I got some of the nutrient survival, and I got a couple other brands I'm going to try out. And I'm going to make smoothies if I can figure out where the hell the ice machine is on my floor. But hey, Shorty, oh, hold on, the chat jumped on me. Then landed at New York City with flights resumed after 9. Loaded 45 in her carry-on. Atlanta didn't see it. She found it when she got her hotel in New York City. Oh, so Nostra, to that point, and there was a story recently. So a guy from Texas, I think he drove or he flew to New York on vacation, and he knew I cannot carry in New York City, right? He understood that. So he emptied his firearm. He put the firearm in the safe in his hotel room, right? And he's like, I'm not going to touch it. It's in the safe. And then we'll just, when we leave the state, we'll lock it away in the truck and go home. And right, no bullets. Bullets were taken out. Mags were removed. Like about as safe as you can make a firearm. He comes back, NYPD charged him with a felony possession of an unregistered firearm. Um, the hotel staff, because he was from Texas, went into the fucking safe to see if he had a gun and then called it in. So his attorney's now fighting in New York State, going, he put the firearm in a safe. Like, how are you going to charge this guy for this? Um, yeah, well, he was being cool. Um, No, not yet. I really have to do. I've just been so busy with work. I'm barely keeping up with the stuff I'm doing. Turn my backpack inside out. Now afraid they'll leave us. So Jammer, what I'm doing now is like I used to use the same backpack for travel, for shooting range, for everything. Now I don't do that. Like this one is my I got it from one of my colleagues in another division because I helped them out, and they give me that as a gift. Um, that bag is travel only. No firearms go in it, even if I'm on personal travel, but I'm bringing my work computer. I do not put anything firearm related anywhere near that bag. That goes in my duffel bag. So like I've mentioned before, I'm kind of modular. So that is the computer work computer only electronics bag. And then I have my personal bag with other shit because if I'm on a plane, I just leave that entire bag. But yeah, it's if I get on a plane, ski lift ticket from 1999. And you know what's funny? Yeah, and they've busted people for. I think they've just stopped at this point because it's like a third of the states say it's legal anyway. Like the feds don't care unless you're freaked out from some crack and you're running around biting people. Nobody cares. I'll be trying my change June for the first time in over 10 years. Pack smart because, like, shorty, I have several videos about what I've been able to carry on versus what I have not been able to carry on or got taken away from me. You have a brand of TSA. Tennessee, I do, brother, and I completely blanked out when I saw your question. I do know that it has to be hard case and it has to have at least one hasp for locks. And to travel with it, for instance, I'm traveling Texas to Texas this time. Even if I go to Oklahoma, my permit's still good. But if I were bringing my firearm, so my pistol and the mags have to be separate from ammunition, and they have to be in a locked box. And then I declare it upon check-in. They'll have an agent come out and verify that the gun is safe and empty. Then I lock the case and then I lock it in my luggage and then I check the whole luggage. In the past, they used to mark bags that had firearms with a special tag, but then they found out baggage handlers were losing those bags and the guns were getting stolen. So now they don't, they just, they record it on the computer system. Your bag 137 has a firearm in it. Um, at this point, if I did have to fly with a firearm, especially within Texas, or if like went to visit my brother in Louisiana, I would go with an empty firearm, and I would just tell my brother or my coworker, "Hey, grab me a box of 9mm," and I'd load up while I was there, and then when I flew back, I'd clear the weapon, and I'd give my friend the bullets, be like, "Here." And that way I don't have to deal with the. Now, if you want to bring loaded mags, they have to be in a separate box. So the ammunition has to be in a separate locked luggage from the firearm. I don't know if that makes sense. So it's a bit of a pain in the ass. Last year I made a trip by bus. I would have to be there in 7 hours in 3 days. So shorty, I would recommend as soon as you get into through security, buy a water bottle for yourself because for whatever reason I dehydrate so badly in airplanes and airports. Um, yeah, and you may want to check the airlines regs. I may be overcomplicating it, but I know ammunition and the firearm have to be completely separate in two locked bags, and the firearm itself has to be in a hard body case. At least it used to be. Um, hey, Love and Life is in here somewhere. Hey, everyone. What's going on? Hey, oops. Sorry, I didn't say hi to you earlier. Um, I would also, like I said, bring snacks. Bring a flashlight too. Again, when the hurricanes have hit or we've had blackouts in Texas because of a storm, people get stuck in the airports and it's dark, and they can't always serve food like that because they can't ring you up. I would also recommend bringing cash, and if you're bringing cash, get smaller denominations. So, like inside, I know Chase banks, the ATMs inside, you can get ones, tens, no, ones, fives, 20s, and hundreds. So you can, instead of getting like 420s, so you have cash for the trip, you could get like a bunch, 10 ones and a bunch of fives and then a couple of 20s. And that way you have kind of a mix of bills you can use. So if the power goes out, you don't have to give it, you like want to buy a water bottle. They're like, I can't make change, but you got to pay. So what do you give the guy a 20 and you just pay $20 for a water bottle? If it's $1.50 for the bottle or $2 and I have to give him three, I don't feel as bad, right? Okay, I paid a buck extra. Oh well, paying 19 or 17 bucks extra would upset me. So just something else to think about when you're traveling. What else? Also, make sure you have a bag that has some capacity. I actually keep this little pouch. And you can see I already took all the cables out of this. The minute I get anywhere, I put my USB wall charger in, I plug in all my cables, and I charge everything at one time. Like the minute I get in, I start charging stuff. What I try to do is keep as much charge on all my devices as possible. Obviously, they EMP me or they hack the cell phone grid, and then the cell phones are garbage anyway. But barring that, I want to be able to have everything with as much power as I can. That includes like nifty flashlights and other shit I have. Let's see, what other goodies do I have in here? Nope, that's not what I was thinking it was. I got the big ass flashlight in here. Yeah, this was a child. Oh, that battery's dying. Look at that. That's not as good as I thought it was. Huh. That one's been traveling with me a lot, so I probably need to. I wonder what the hell battery is like. This bad boy. Triple A's. So probably need to go and attack those at some point. So, all right, now I have something else. And you can see when you make a bunch of trips one after the other, you start losing track of what the heck. But shit, I've had those batteries in there for the better part of a year, if I'm thinking right. So it's probably about time for me to swap them. A million lumens later, I'm telling you. But you think about it. What do people do when they have a blackout and they're in a strange place? Well, you use your phone. But this is also comms because if they knock down the phones and they come back up, you can't. If you run down your phone being your flashlight, you know what I mean? Now you don't have a communication device because you used it as a light. I'd rather just pay a few bucks and have the light. But yeah, no, definitely, sure. I would have went home. The bus stations are no good. No, the bus station. I almost shot a guy in the Houston bus station because my mother-in-law and father-in-law, when he was still alive, had come to visit us, and they wouldn't fly because it freaked them out. So we had to Greyhound them from home to Houston when we lived here. And if you've been to the Houston Greyhound station, it's like crackhead central. And I was with my father-in-law was using a cane. I was mother-in-law, father-in-law. I went to greet them. Usually my brother-in-law would come too, and he's a competitive Kempo fighter, so I'm not worried about him, right? If he's there, he watches the old folks. So I went, my wife was in the car, and as I'm walking them back, I specifically told my mother-in-law, do not walk away. There are a bunch of crackheads here. They're panhandling, and they've been known to steal purses. Stay close to me. So I wanted the two old folks at my side while we walked back to the SUV. I wasn't worried about my wife because I've seen her shoot at people before. And of course, we got not 10 yards down, and my mother-in-law goes, oh, there's the SUV. And she speeds up. Well, grandpa couldn't do that because he's on a cane. I shit you not, guys. She got about halfway, must have been maybe 40 yards, not very much distance. She got halfway from me to the SUV with her suitcase, speed walking. I could not stay with the old man and watch her. He was disabled. And I kid you not, it looked like, hey, Vision, where's Vision? Hey, man, I kid you not, they look like, when you throw fish food in a koi pond and all the fish come like that? That's how they look. Literally had 6 different people who were panhandling make a beeline for my mother-in-law because she wasn't looking around her at all, right? And so my wife saw what was happening. So she was in a big SUV back then. She turns on the car, starts rolling forward along the curb. Thankfully, there were no other cars parked on that side of the road, and lays on the horn. And she created such a commotion in this big black SUV all of them stopped to look at the crazy Spanish girl in the SUV, and she closed distance and was able to get mother-in-law in. And by the time that commotion had settled down, I was able, and she closed that distance, I was able to get with grandpa to the car, or to father-in-law, got to the car. Um, I'm loading their luggage. I told my father-in-law, I'm like, these guys are trying to pickpocket or do something. And he says, I see them. He was paying attention. He said, I see them and I can't move faster. I said, I know, just get in the vehicle. I'm going to load. And I'm loading. And one of them gets in front of the car, puts his hands on the hood and goes, why are you honking, baby? And my wife's like, you need to get away from that car. I'm going to make you a hood ornament. Right. Because that's the woman I married. And so she's talking shit out the window. And I'm like, oh, man. So I'm loading and they keep, and now they're coming from other sides. And I shit you not, I said, you need to get away from the driver's side window because she was driving. And this son of a bitch, he goes, why, what you gonna do? And I popped the clasp on my holster. He said, you're gonna shoot me? I said, you get closer to my wife and you're gonna find out. And he looks at me and then he looks down at my wife and he like startles and he backs up. And I'm like, that's weird. What was that about? Anyway, so anyway, they kind of disperse. We get in the SUV, and as I'm getting in the other side, my wife's got her little SIG with that damn red dot. She had it here. She was aiming it at his freaking face. When he looked down at her, because she had rolled the window down to scold mother-in-law, he looked down. She, yeah, that kind of ended that nonsense with these fools. But yeah, I had someone try to do that in airport. Probably my language was no, and oh, am I back again? So anyway, folks, pay attention because when you're traveling, you're tired, you've got luggage. Hey, good night, Share Bear. You've got luggage, you may have kids, elderly, they're tired, and your radars may not be 100%. Okay, I'm not sure if well, I guess that's the internet telling me to cut it out. In any case, folks, look, get to a hotel if you're not staying with family or friends. Water, snacks in your bag while you're in the airport, flashlight in case you lose light in the middle of the evening. Yeah, but it's just some of my trips. This trip would have been, it's an hour and 30, hour and 15 minutes in the air, and less than an hour, not even. Uh, um, yes, they do. We're in a big city, you don't, but they do notice travelers because we have the bags, the kids, I look very different when I'm on vacation versus when I'm anywhere in Texas, pretty much, because I dress the same way. But make sure you have food, you have the water, because if something does happen, at the very least, you have a room, right? You're secured in your room somewhat. You have the amenities you need to kind of sit in place and kind of just you're giving yourself options to as to what your next move is, right? Yeah, having an emergency at the house is one thing. Having an emergency at the office where you commute the same route every day, you kind of know the route. But when you're in a completely different city traveling, you want to give options so that you have time to make decisions that are in the best interest of everyone. So just stay with that one, folks. Anyway, folks, you guys be safe out there. You guys take care. I'm somewhere between getting a you guys take care of yourselves. Be careful out there. And I will see you all in the next video. God bless. You all be good.